Live from the PCTV studios, the Monday Morning Quarterback. Your host, Dave Ridenauer.
Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of the Vlahos Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show. I'm Dave Ridenauer, the Monday Morning Quarterback, and we have another great show planned for you this evening as we're winding down the 2017 high school football season. Jim, Mick, and I are going to break down all last week's playoff action and end of the season football right here on the show. But as normal, we're going to take a quick timeout, get everybody organized, and we come back. Jim and I will look at last week's action right here on the Vlahos Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show.
Stay tuned for more Monday Morning Quarterback right after this.
Yeah! At Vlahos Insurance, we understand what moves people in business and in life, and we use this knowledge to better serve our clients. And we bring the same work ethic and commitment to our business as our customers do theirs. Vlahos Insurance, providing quality coverage to the Tri-County area since 1994. So call our knowledgeable staff.
Hi, I'm Jim Vlahos of Vlahos Insurance, and we're in your community.
So you're officially married. Congrats! It's time to combine things. Your last names, your toothbrush holders, and your health insurance. When you combine policies, you can save and live happily ever after financially. Use the red key for more money-saving tips. Find yourself impulse buying uncontrollably? Here's a tip from Ben Franklin. Carry me in your wallet. Big bills are harder to give up. The next time you're tempted to impulse buy, you might not want to break a Benjamin. Use the red key and save.
Back here on the Vlahos Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show. Dave Ridenauer again, joined by my co-host every week for this high school section of our program, Mr. Jim Mick. And Coach, another interesting weekend. We did have the luxury of seeing some of our locals play in the District 1 playoffs. We also had a couple of teams playing in other forms of high school action here at the end of the year. But it was a good week, Jim. And before we get started, we normally look at our top five, and let's get that out of the way here first as well. Keith and Ronnie Reinhardt, the Reinhardt boys, want to thank them for their loyalty and support over the years. Ronnie, a heck of a football player. Keith was too, but he was an injury-prone guy. So was Claude, the old man. Yes, he was. He was a heck of a player who started that company way back in 1946. All right, let's see what we got here. We have the Perk Valley at number 1, Pottsgrove at number 2, Upper Perk in the 3 slot, Owen J. Roberts 4, and Springford 5 as they round out the top 5 here on the Monday Morning Quarterback, again, brought to you by the Reinhardt Painters. Jim?
Well, the only thing I say is that's a jumbled mix from 3 to 5,
correct,
I think.
Correct.
And that could change, not from game to game, but from day to day.
Yeah.
So that's a very close. The other two,
yeah, the other two certainly have separated themselves, but 3, 4, and 5, they have been the teams really that we've moved around all year long. Pottsgrove had been at the number 1 slot for a long time until their loss against PV, and then PV jumped ahead of them. But there was 1 and 2 teams certainly had separated themselves, and as you mentioned, we had a couple other teams. Pope John Paul had been in there for a while. O&J played their best football at the end of the season. Didn't play real well over the weekend, as we'll talk about here in a minute or two. But Rich Kolka and his squad had a very solid season in Bucktown. All right, Jim, let's jump right in. Let's go and check out one of your squads here now, the Pope John Paul gang, who inducted you into their legendary Hall of Fame. And
Legacy.
Legacy.
Not legendary.
All right, well, you're legendary and a legacy and whatever else you are. But anyway, they ran into a very hot team as well. Upper Perk. Upper Perk wins that one 28-21 in a game played down at Conchie Field, a field that you're familiar with, down there on a Saturday night under the lights. Tell us a little bit about what you know about 28-21 Upper Perk, Jim.
Well, the first thing I know is that the first go-round between Upper Perk and PJP, PJP just got off to an awful start. They scored in 70 seconds. It was 13-0, and then PJP come back and went ahead. And throughout the entire game, the first go-round, PJP was only able to rush for 23 yards rushing. You're not going to beat many people just rushing for 23 yards. They rushed for 116, 120 in the second go-round, and then it came down to the fourth quarter. They're down by 7. They get the ball on the 8-yard line. They drive all the way to the 7-yard line of Upper Perk, and then they throw an interception, and Trevor Steffen makes the big play for Upper Perk. They win the ball game. But as you said, there were some good games this week, and that was one of them. Very good game. Well,
Tyler Wary is a guy that we had on the show a few weeks ago that we like here on the show as a running back and linebacker. He had another big game. He had 200-plus yards and 3 touchdowns. He certainly was unstoppable, particularly in the second and third quarters. As you mentioned, as you did not mention, PJP this time took a 14-0 lead. They jumped out of the blocks real quickly, and before Upper Perk knew what hit them, they were down by 2 scores early in this ball game, and that was the score there. So, but they came back and they played well. They did what they had to do. They had Matt Lorenz running around for his life, that's for sure, but he was able to complete 17 out of 30 and 2 touchdowns. You mentioned it, though. The one big bugaboo was that INT at the end of the game.
Well, if PJP has a weakness, it's up front, you know, and you can't be weak up front. But this kid is a very good athlete. He's a winner. He's a great football player. He has trouble because he forces things at times, but they go as he goes, and he was 17 for 31, but 2 interceptions, and the big one at the end actually cost them a chance of tying the ball game. And then you talk about Upper Perk. They scored 22 points in the third quarter. They rushed for 319 yards, and we know that Tyler Wary, no matter where you put him on the football field, he's a football player, he and his brother. So they're big. They got some good size. They've lost some games this year that I sort of questioned a little bit, but they'll give Pottsgrove a go-round, which they haven't done. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later
on in the show. But again, PJP ends its season at 7-4. I think a really good coaching job by Roy Graver and his staff. They did a heck of a job, as they mentioned, where they started the year off 7-0. And unfortunately for them, as you mentioned, you're not having a lot of depth and size on their offensive and defensive lines. They sort of ran out of gas, and they did lose the last 4 games in a row. Congratulations to Tom Hans and his gang. They won their first playoff game in 20 years at Upper Perk. And as you mentioned, they still have more to go. And Trevor Steffen did save the day with that big INT. The Wary boys did certainly have a lot of influence in the outcome of that game. All right, the second game that was in the 4A was a game that we did right here on the PCTV network. Scotty Furman and myself were fortunate to call that game over in Pottsgrove at Pennypacker Field as the Grove #1 seed knocks off the #4 seed Interboro. And that always a tough game against a team that is just a tough physical team. As Pottsgrove sort of started off a little bit slowly, although Jay Cisco did a heck of a job setting the tempo early with a real long run on the second play from scrimmage. Faison took a little while to get warmed up, but they did win a lot handily than the score at 33-8, Jim.
Over the years, that's always a physical game. You know Pottsgrove's physical, and Interboro usually is physical also, and they did hold Pottsgrove to 63 yards in the first half. But the big thing here in this game is you don't want to play a good team after they've had a tough loss, and that's what happened to Interboro. They had to face Pottsgrove after their only loss of the season, championship game, tough loss. I give the Cisco kid, Jay Cisco, a lot of credit. He came back. He's the leader of that team. He threw for 112 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also ran for a touchdown. He's the leader. Faison gets all the ink, et cetera, and he should. But Cisco, you got to be solid behind that center, and he's been solid all year. And he proved it on Friday night with a big game.
And also, I think we've sometimes overlooked the defense because of Faison and Cisco and Austin and all those guys they got on offense. But their defense really came up big. They had 2 interceptions, Jim. They held Interboro to under 60 yards rushing. They had a sack. They just did a heck of a job against an Interboro team that likes to pound. They like to ground and pound, and that's always a tough game to play in. And Pottsgrove's defense really stepped up and showed something there. And again, the junior quarterback who had big shoes to fill, taking over for Finn from last year, who was certainly one of the leaders of the team. You know, he wanted to bounce back from what he felt was a bad showing the week before. He said he had something to prove to his team, and he certainly did, especially on that second play where he ran almost 50 yards in for the score.
Well, we know Steve Lennox has been down there at Interboro for a lot of years, has had a lot of good teams, and he himself admitted in the newspaper that Pottsgrove wore them down at the end.
Well, you know, it was really surprising, Jim, and I know you weren't there for the game, but Interboro squad numbers were very, very slim. They only had 15 guys that weren't playing on the field. I mean, they had probably 30 or less on their team. And I know they did have some injuries. We talked about to the guy who was filming the game for Interboro. He said there were a couple injuries, but still the numbers were way down for them this year. And their offensive and defensive line, you could see they were tugging on their pants there in that second half. And Pottsgrove's lines really did control the game.
Well, that becomes a worry for a lot of us people that have been in football a lot of years, is a lot of teams are down in numbers. Now, many times when a team has been poor over a long period of time, the numbers. But, you know, when you played, the numbers were, you guys had 50, 60 people without any problem.
75.
And you know what annoys me, and you know what annoys the heck out of me? So many times you turn on the TV or read a new article, and it's about parents being told the kids not to play football, and I think that's ludicrous.
And you talked about maybe sometimes having some lean years, but Interboro's been playing. I mean,
they
played Pottsgrove for the district championship last year. They're always in the mix in the 4A, so it's not like they have a down program. They have certainly a qualified coach in Steve Lennox that you mentioned. He's been there for 30-plus years, so that was a little unusual to see Interboro with such low numbers. All right, Jim, well, let's take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll look at the 6As and what's going on over there with Perk Valley and O&J and those guys. After we come back, we've got to pay our sponsors here a little bit of time, so we're going to take a quick break. We come back. Dave Ryan and our Jim Mick here on the Vallejo Stun Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show.
Stay tuned for more Monday Morning Quarterback right after this.
Fred Beans Ford of Boyertown is located on Route 100, just 2 miles north of Boyertown. Fred Beans Ford provides automotive sales, service, parts, and body shop all in one place. They're open 6 days a week. Fred Beans Ford in Boyertown can be reached at 800-222-0243, 800-222-0243, or online at fredbeans.com.
Doc Watson's is one of the hottest new sports bars around. Located next to Zern's Market in Boyertown, Doc's offers something for everyone. From live entertainment to countless draft beers, from great burgers to the new outside patio, from the numerous TVs to the friendly Doc service. Doc Watson's is the place to be. So stop by Doc's today for a leisurely lunch, a quick cold beer, or a great bite to eat on a nice fall night. Doc Watson's.
Welcome to the office of John H. Greismeyer Jr., where we believe in the value of relationships. We take pride in giving you the assistance you need, where that involves income tax, payroll, or financial statement preparation. Located in Boyertown, we're committed to meeting the needs of the people in our community, and our team of skilled financial professionals look forward to working with you. John H. Greismeyer Jr. Call us or visit our website now.
Back here at the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show. Dave Reinauer, Jim Mick, as we get ready to look at the 6A division of our District 1 playoffs. And let's start off with the number one team in the top 5, PV. They had their hands full, as they knew they would. It was a very misleading seed for Penwood to be number 15. They had won 8 games in a row. Penwood was up 30-14 at one point in the second half in this game, and PV came storming back. And again, without Alec Jackson, who was the player of the week last week, without Johnny Moshe, who got injured during the game, they had to revamp their whole offense. Heck, they bring in Malik Smith, who didn't even know all the plays, and they had to sort of tell him where to go, and he started to be a savior with 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in the second half. But a big win for Robbie Heisgang down there in PV.
Well, that's a 2 versus 15. That shows you how close these games can be, because you said they were up by 16 at one time. But depth is very important at this time of the year. As you said, put Malik Smith in there, Malik Smith the second, and they put him in there, and he does a heck of a job when John Moshe went down, and that's a big loss for Perk Valley. But as we move through this, any coach will tell you we're banged up, we're tired, we're hurt. So everybody has that same predicament at this time of the year.
Yeah, and Moshe, a good two-way player, only a sophomore for Rob Heiss, so he certainly has 2 more years to go. But he is banged up. I don't know if he's going to be able to play this week or not. We can only hope for the best for John Moshe. But again, Cole Peterlin, who's really stepped up, following Steven Sturm, had some big shoes to fill, but he did a heck of a job. He ran the ball 23 times for almost 200 yards and a couple of scores. So he is really starting to add that dimension to his game. He throws the ball pretty solidly, lefty just like Sturm. But now he's adding this run game to it, and PV really did a lot of damage on the ground.
Well, we would be remiss if we didn't mention the Viking defense, because they were at the head of the comeback against Penwood. In 4 drives by Penwood, they only gained 19 yards, and that is what created the comeback for PV, which was a big comeback when you're down 16
in the second
and come
half,
out with a win over the 15th seed. So a lot of credit to Penwood also.
Yeah.
Good effort.
The Vikings 24 unanswered points, but again, their quarterback is 6'4" and 240 pounds. He's only a sophomore. I mean, they got this kid named Poles who has 1,200 yards receiving this year. I mean, they were very athletic. They had a lot of big kids down there, a couple 300-pounders on their offensive line. But again, it sounded to me like they ran out of gas in the second half of that game as PV was able to come in and take over some advantages that they got, convert them into points, Jim. And again, Rob Heiss' gang keeps moving on. They're 10-1.
Well, they keep winning. They keep winning week after week, and they do what they have to do in order to win, whether it's offense, defense, special teams, big plays.
It certainly is. And again, congratulations to them as they will move on, and we'll talk about their game here in a little bit. Now, another team that made it, who was playing their best ball at the end of the year, we thought, Owen-J. Roberts from Ishkolka, they were excited. However, they run into a very, very tough Downingtown East squad, and Downingtown East goes up 42-0 in the half. They scored the first 6 times they had the ball, Jim. Started with the opening kickoff where Downingtown kicks off, and no one from Owen-J. fields the ball, and Downingtown jumps on it, and they score the next play, and that sort of set the tempo.
Absolutely, and they were outgained in the first quarter, 200 yards to 33. And as you said, the opening kick, it's yours, right. It's mine. Nobody got it, and they got it on the 26-yard line. And on the first play from scrimmage, the young running back from Downingtown East takes it to the house, 7-0 lead. Not a great way to start a game.
Well, and like I said, we talked about it before we went on there, and we thought that O&J would give them a game. We figured that Downingtown would probably win it in the end, but boy, they jumped on them early. Mike Mattis said that was part of their game plan. They wanted to jump on them early and try to get them down, and they certainly did that, Jim, as we talked about. The first 6 possessions, every time they had the ball in the first half, they scored a touchdown, and it was basically over at the half.
And Dawson Stewart continues to play well for O&J. He was 12 for 18, 1 touchdown pass late in the game. The game was over, but he's a competitor, and he plays for the 48 minutes, and he's had a fine season for the O&J Roberts Wildcats.
Yeah, and he's had a really good career, as we talked to when we had him on the show here a few weeks ago as the player of the week. He set a few records that have been standing over at O&J for quite a few years. So touchdown passes and career yards, he has done a heck of a job over there for the Cats. Now we go down to the number 1 and number 16 game. Neshaminy comes in here as the number 1 team in the District 1 6A play. And they take on Springford. Springford, again, just barely got in there with a couple of things that went their way. They got the number 16 seed, Jim. Break that one down for us.
Well, in all actuality, it was a shootout up until the 4th quarter. It was 1 touchdown going into the 4th quarter. But in the 4th quarter, Neshaminy's strength and power and size just took over, and they scored 42 points. I thought Springford's offense played a good game. They couldn't stop them in the 4th quarter, and this Corey Joyce and Joe Stills, they're good running backs. Stills had 238 yards, 3 TDs. They scored touchdowns on 5 of 6 possessions, and you know as well as I do, you're not going to win games like that when you're playing defense that way. So, but they gave a good effort. It's number 1 against number 16. And they're going to lose T.J. Pergine, who had a great career down there. And I also like the DeFrancisco
Yeah, I know
kid.
you do, yeah.
I liked him on offense. I liked him on defense. Solid football player. And what can you, as long as you give your best effort, you got to forget about it.
Well, DeFrancisco did have 155 yards and 3 touchdowns. Pergine. I know Chad Brubaker asks a lot out of his quarterbacks down there at Springford. They do a lot at the line of scrimmage. They look at some things. They audibilize. They have a run-pass option. But Pergine sort of grasped that stuff very well and had a heck of a career. So he's in the record books down there as well, too, as he moves on there. But they will end their season at 6-5. Neshaminy moves on. They are 10-1. But, it was sort of amazing to me that, for a while there, Springford was able to score with them. They didn't want to get into a shootout, but they turned into a shootout, and Springford was hanging there with them late into the second half.
Well, on the other hand, too, some of these real good teams, Dave, they don't make any mistakes. They get in on offense, they get into 3rd and 10 on offense, they get the first down. And on the other side of the ball on defense, if you're trying to get that first down, they stop you. They don't fumble the ball. They don't make mistakes. Neshaminy, very conservative. You better buckle up that helmet because they're going to come right at you and try to run over you. So they're well coached. They don't make many mistakes. And then they just wore Springford down in the 4th quarter.
And that is the alma mater of your boy at Penn State, right? James Franklin went to Neshaminy.
Right. Yeah, that's where he played.
That's where he played, sure. Yeah. James Franklin at Neshaminy. All right, and we had a couple of games that were not in the district playoff, but certainly noteworthy. We want to congratulate T.J. Miller as his team really came on in the second half of the season. They had some turmoil in the beginning of the year, but once they got that straightened out, they came on. They played in something called the Eastern Conference Football Crown or Division Championship, whatever that was, and they beat Pocono Mountain East 48-20. The Moshe boys, Nick and Jamie, with big games. They had combined for 6 touchdowns and over 260 yards rushing, Jim.
Well, they were. It was tied 20-20 at half, and then Pocono Mountain East got dominated in the second half, and the Moshe brothers had something to do with that. Boyertown had something like 469 yards of total offense. You also throw in Marcus Thomas for 91 yards, and then you got Cap, who broke your interception record at 11 for the season.
You're too much,
Two
Jim.
good
I'll tell
athletes,
you're
you
too
and Cap.
You're too much. But Jerry Cap, we do want to say congratulations. He did have 2 more interceptions. That was a picture of Jerry there holding the crown there, or the trophy for that Eastern championship game. But again, hats off to T.J. Miller for keeping those guys together when everything could have gone sideways for them, and they did a nice job. They won 5 out of the last 7 games, Jim, after a really slow start. So they did come on in the second half of the season. And then the last game we had up there was Pottstown and Northampton. That was a game that they scheduled after both teams failed to qualify for the districts, and Northampton beats them 34-22. Pottstown would probably their best offensive game, but let them slide a little bit defensively there at the end, and they will have O&J on Thanksgiving.
You know what,
game,
Dave? I give Coach Fisher a lot of credit because it's easy to coach when things are going well. Things haven't gone well for Pottstown. They've won 2 games, and one was in one of the wins was against
both of
them
were
were against
Methacton. Yeah.
But his comments in the paper are always positive. He found something that his kids did that he liked. And you know what? Boy, you get negative with a team that's losing, you'll lose those kids. He didn't lose them. They kept playing, and I give him a lot of credit for the way he handled his team in a losing situation.
Okay, there you have it for the games that were played last week. We're going to take a quick time out here as we get ready to preview the next round of the playoffs right here on the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show.
Stay tuned for more Monday Morning Quarterback right after this.
So you're officially married. Congrats! It's time to combine things. Your last names, your toothbrush holders, and your health insurance. When you combine policies, you can save and live happily ever after financially. Use the red key for more money-saving tips. Find yourself impulse buying uncontrollably? Here's a tip from Ben Franklin. Carry me in your wallet. Big bills are harder to give up. The next time you're tempted to impulse buy, you might not want to break a Benjamin. Use the red key and save.
The newly remodeled and renovated Creekside Sports Bar and Grill sits on the Landis Creek Golf Course. Featuring live entertainment and weekly specials, the Creekside offers something for everyone. Discounted beer and wing prices during all Eagles games brings a being at the game feeling. With tailgating, big screen TVs, and wearing your team colors, you can bring the fall spirit to Creekside. So stop by the Creekside Sports Bar and Grill and see all the fun things it has to offer.
Fred Beans Ford of Boyertown is located on Route 100, just 2 miles north of Boyertown. Fred Beans Ford provides automotive sales, service, parts, and body shop all in one place. They're open 6 days a week. Fred Beans Ford in Boyertown can be reached at 800-222-0243, 800-222-0243, or online at fredbeans.com.
Back in 1949, Claude A. Reinhardt founded his family business, which has served the Pottstown and Tri-County area for over 50 years, specializing in residential and commercial interior and exterior painting, paper hanging, and brick restoration. Thanks to the commitment of tradition and values, Claude A. Reinhardt Painters has once again received this year's Reader's Choice Award. So if you're thinking about having an estimate or just need some good advice, give Ron or Keith Reinhardt a call and put your painting and decorating needs in our hands.
Welcome to the office of John H. Greismeyer Jr., where we believe in the value of relationships. We take pride in giving you the assistance you need, where that involves income tax, payroll, or financial statement preparation. Located in Boyertown, we're committed to meeting the needs of the people in our community, and our team of skilled financial professionals look forward to working with you. John H. Greismeyer Jr. Call us or visit our website now.
At Vlahos Dunn Insurance, we understand what moves people in business and in life, and we use this knowledge to better serve our clients. And we bring the same work ethic and commitment to our business as our customers do theirs. Vlahos Dunn Insurance, providing quality coverage to the Tri-County area since 1994. So call our knowledgeable staff.
Hi, I'm Jim Vlahos of Vlahos Dunn Insurance, and we're in your community.
Back here on set at the Pottstown Studios, Dave Ridenour, Jim Mick here. Coach, very quickly, we got a couple of games to look at. Let's look at the 4A game, which will be the PCTV Network Game of the Week. We'll be back over at Pennypacker Field at Pottsgrove to see the rematch of Pottsgrove and Upper Perk. Pottsgrove had their way with them the first time they played in the regular season, scoring over 55 points against them. Rasul Faison with a big game, 6 touchdowns. Tom Hans has got to try to find a way to change some things before Friday night.
Well, I think Pottsgrove has beaten them more than 2 in a row. I think they have something like 4 or 6. So Tom Hans's big job is to convince these kids, and both teams, I believe, are senior laden. I think Pottsgrove has a lot of seniors. I know Upper Perk has a lot of seniors. Now, when somebody beats you that many times, it's a big job sometimes convincing yourself and your players that we can still win this game. And they're going to have to go in and play mistake-free and win the third down situations and what have you.
Not turn the ball over.
Not turn the ball.
Turn
all
the ball
things
over.
that
Tackle.
Create tackle.
Score.
Block. All the
they
fundamentals.
Do everything. They got to do it
And
all.
the most important thing is think I can win.
Exactly.
You got to think you can win. And Tommy Hunt he thinks he can win.
Well, his guys were a little awestruck the first time they played. They even mentioned the fact that they found themselves standing around watching Faison putting on some highlight reel touchdown runs, and they certainly cannot have that. They better find a way to gang tackle number 2, or it's going to be a long night for Upper Perk. Pottsgrove, again, they didn't play real well last week. They didn't have a great week of practice talking to the coaches and the players. They were really upset about the way they played against Perkiomen Valley. Took them half the week to get ready for that game on Friday night, Jim. So I'm thinking Pottsgrove is going to play a whole lot better this week than they did last.
Plus, the loser goes home.
Right.
That's the big thing. Loser goes home.
All right, and then we have one more in the 6A that we have. We have Perk Valley. There's another rematch. They beat Penridge last year handily. Penridge certainly had a little revenge on their mind, a little redemption, if you will, the first time they played as they shut out PV 29-0. And now that has a rematch. However, it'll be back at Perkiomen Valley on Friday night. And I know Rob Heiss and his gang want to play a lot better than they did the first time they
Whoa,
met up.
but that's a big plus, I
is.
think, for Perk Valley to get Penridge at home. Penridge over the years is a tough, again, physical football team who comes at you, who plays solid defense. But Perk Valley does the same thing. I think you mentioned earlier in the show, Peterland gets better every game.
Yes, he does.
Certainly losing Moshe is going to hurt, but Malik Smith II will get a whole week of practice. He'll know the offense, and I think it's going to come down to whoever plays the best defensive football
and
down at Perk Valley.
And Penridge, yep. They sponsor a middle linebacker tight end who is going to Penn State. He is a heck of a player. He's like 6'4" and 230, can run. He's the leader of that squad, so I'm sure he's going to have his guys all fired up. But I look for Rob Heiss and his team to show up and have a better performance than they did earlier in this season. All right, Jim, well, that's going to call it a day for you and I. We got the player of the week and his coach in the wings here waiting. We get an opportunity to talk to some players and the coaches. It's always a fun part of the show. I want to thank you for stopping by again, Jim. And we're going to take a quick time out. We get the set changed around. We'll be back in a minute with the player of the week and his coach right here on the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show.
Stay tuned for more Monday Morning Quarterback right after this.
So you're officially married. Congrats! It's time to combine things. Your last names, your toothbrush holders, and your health insurance. When you combine policies, you can save and live happily ever after financially. Use the red key for more money-saving tips. Find yourself impulse buying uncontrollably? Here's a tip from Ben Franklin. Carry me in your wallet. Big bills are harder to give up. The next time you're tempted to impulse buy, you might not want to break a Benjamin. Use the red key and save.
The newly remodeled and renovated Creekside Sports Bar and Grill sits on the Landis Creek Golf Course. Featuring live entertainment and weekly specials, the Creekside offers something for everyone. Discounted beer and wing prices during all Eagles games brings a being at the game feeling. With tailgating, big screen TVs, and wearing your team colors, you can bring the fall spirit to Creekside. So stop by the Creekside Sports Bar and Grill and see all the fun things it has to offer.
Fred Beans Ford of Boyertown is located on Route 100, just 2 miles north of Boyertown. Fred Beans Ford provides automotive sales, service, parts, and body shop all in one place. They're open 6 days a week. Fred Beans Ford in Boyertown can be reached at 800-222-0243, 800-222-0243, or online at fredbeans.com.
Back in 1949, Claude A. Reinhardt founded his family business, which has served the Pottstown and Tri-County area for over 50 years, specializing in residential and commercial interior and exterior painting, paper hanging, and brick restoration. Thanks to the commitment of tradition and values, Claude A. Reinhardt Painters has once again received this year's Reader's Choice Award. So if you're thinking about having an estimate or just need some good advice, give Ron or Keith Reinhardt a call and put your painting and decorating needs in our hands.
Welcome to the office of John H. Greismeyer Jr., where we believe in the value of relationships. We take pride in giving you the assistance you need, where that involves income tax, payroll, or financial statement preparation. Located in Boyertown, we're committed to meeting the needs of the people in our community, and our team of skilled financial professionals look forward to working with you. John H. Greismeyer Jr. Call us or visit our website now.
At Vlahos Dunn Insurance, we understand what moves people in business and in life, and we use this knowledge to better serve our clients. And we bring the same work ethic and commitment to our business as our customers do theirs. Vlahos Dunn Insurance, providing quality coverage to the Tri-County area since 1994. So call our knowledgeable staff.
Hi, I'm Jim Vlahos of Vlahos Dunn Insurance, and we're in your community.
We want to thank Mike's Brick Oven Pizza for, again, doing a great job. They always bring over some snacks and goodies for the guys to eat, the coach and the player, myself and my crew. I want to thank Mike and all his gang over there for taking good care of us here on the Monday Morning Quarterback Show. Don't forget, Mike's is at Charlotte and East Street in Pottstown. Great food. There we go. They win something every year. I'm sure the 2017s haven't been out yet, but they win the best strombolis and pizzas, and there's that great stuff. Tell them that we sent you from the Monday Morning Quarterback. All right, and again, I want to thank Rick Pennypacker and Jay Sisko, the junior quarterback, for stopping by. Jay, our Player of the Week, and Rick, his coach over at Pottsgrove, after a big win in round number 1 against number 4 seed Interboro, 33-8. First of all, congratulations, guys, on a big win. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
All right, Rick, well, we're going to start with you first. You look like you're a little rammy over there on the corner there. We'll talk a little bit about some things. First of all, I guess we have to talk about it a little bit, that this is going to be your swan song. This is your last year, and I know you don't want a big thing made of it and all that. I understand, but I'm sure this one has a little bit more meaning to you as you wind down here in late October, early November.
Yeah, but it really isn't about me. It's about the 19 seniors and the other kids that are playing their final game over there on that field. Every coach has got to go sometime, and this is just the year I decided to go. And I'm proud of our kids. I'm proud of our team. But Friday night, I think when the action started, so it should be like any other game.
Absolutely. And Jay Cisco, Jr., Jay, let me ask you, first of all, coming into a season where you follow a guy like Ryan Finn, who was certainly a leader, a senior, who was certainly very well respected by his guys, did you feel a little added pressure taking over for Finn, or how did you handle all that?
Especially as a junior coming in, I thought it was definitely big shoes to fill after Ryan. I mean, he's been starting since he was probably a sophomore on defense, then got the role at quarterback. I knew it was big shoes to step into and a position I was ready for.
Now, again, as a sophomore last year, you're a backup player. You're trying to learn as much as you can and absorb things. What did you do to get yourself ready for this position?
During the defensive days, I'd go on scout team and really try and work in against our starting defense. That way I was ready for if my name was called, and for the upcoming years, just really working against our defense and trying to get better. Well,
I know Finn was certainly a guy that was special to you, one of your nephews, and he and his brother were both very good players for you. He was a well-respected and a leader. Certainly not a guy, not your prototypical quarterback, but put into that position, he certainly did the best he could. And now, of course, Jay has to fill in for that.
Yeah, I think Jay's a clone of Ryan. I mean, he does everything, nothing great, but everything right. And I think that's what we look for. I mean, he handles the game well. He handles the execution of the game plan. He does a great job. We didn't ask Ryan to do anything he couldn't do, and we don't ask Jay to do anything he couldn't do. But both of them are very good football players. They're great students. But more important of all, I think both of them get the respect of the kids. And when Jay walks into the huddle, every kid on that team looks at him, respects him, and I think that's important. When you're the leader of the quarterback and you're the one that 10 eyes are looking at, you better be respected by that team, or if you're not, you're going to have trouble, and I think that's the most important thing about Jay.
Let's go back a little bit, Jay. You guys go to football camp in the summertime, and I've always been a big proponent of that, and I know you guys have stories, as every guy who ever went to a football camp has stories and things. But when you know that you're going to be the guy, and you're up at football camp, I think it's really helped your football teams out in the past that you go up there. Tell us a little bit about your experience and how your summer football camp gets you ready for the season.
Camp is definitely an interesting week. We have 5 days, and all 24 hours are spent with each other. We're at dinner, breakfast, lunch. We're going to practice together. We're showering together. Everything's together. And it's really coming together and just earning respect and getting to know everyone and just really coming together as a team.
Rick, it's one of the things I know you've done for a lot of years, and as a former football player and coach, that's always been a cool thing, the summer camps and the way you come together as a team. Obviously, you had some pretty high expectations going into your camp this year. As Jim and I talked about earlier, you had a lot of seniors. You do have a junior quarterback, but you have a lot of seniors that you can rely on. Obviously, you set some goals and things up there at camp, and you wanted to roll from that.
Right. When we go to camp, people think it's a lot of fun, but it's not so much fun as it is just a way for us to, as coaches, get our kids to come together as a team. They have a thing on Thursday night called commitment night. That's our team runs that. We coaches know nothing about what goes on, what's said, what happens in there. They're sworn to secrecy over the years what has happened in that room, but they come together in that room. When they come out of there, it's time to go. I got to tell a story about Camp Dave, and I think you and Coach Mick and everyone would like this. We had a young boy at our camp this year, and about 50 yards away from our cabins, we have a Gatorade thing set up. And the boy went down around 9 o'clock to fill up his Gatorade bottle from the cooler. And while he was there, he saw this thing standing next to him, and he thought it was someone in a hooded sweatshirt over his head. And he turned around, and here, lo and behold, it was a bear.
Bear? Oh, my gosh.
It was within about 5 feet from him.
Yeah.
He took off, ran across the grass, came running into our cabin, and we're like, what's wrong? He said, I saw a bear. And we thought he was crazy, but he said, I'm very sorry, Coach. I said, why? He said, I broke the rules. I ran across the grass.
And I bet he ran timed it because that was his best play ever.
And Dave, we had all the cabins came out and they saw this bear run across the camp. And I mean to tell you, it was the last night we were there, and I'm there. Thank God, because
that's again another thing that pulls all you guys together. Now, obviously, you come in there and you're rolling pretty well. Jay is, you're learning the system. You're getting on the field experience, and things are going well for you. I know the coach doesn't like to throw the ball often, but you get a chance to throw the ball and you make some good plays. Certainly Desmond Alston and those guys are pretty good on the outside, so you do have some nice targets.
Yeah, we definitely have great targets. I think we have some of the best wide receivers in the air. We have Bailey Dell, Des Austin, Malik Garner, Kobe, all those guys, and there's so many opportunities and so many places to throw the ball.
Now, you can say it on the air here now that he's here. Would you like to throw it a little bit more?
I mean, I wouldn't mind, but I mean, hey, whatever gets us the wins at the end of the day, I'm all right with.
Because I know.
Have you ever had a quarterback on here that said he didn't want to throw the ball more? Come on. You were a quarterback. You wanted to throw the ball all the time.
I just wanted it to be known out there that he wouldn't mind throwing the ball a little bit more. Rick, give him a chance to get it up there. He threw a real nice one on Friday night. Bailey Delp, the guy you talked about, ran that little seam route, and he was wide open. I bet your eyes were as big as saucer seams.
Oh, I know. I think those are some of the hardest throws to make, though. They're so wide open, you're like, I don't want to miss this one.
Well, it was kind of interesting, too, Rick, and I don't know if you guys knew this or had this going into the game plan for Interboro, but it looked like you were under center a lot more often, and then you also faked one way to the fullback. Faison went right, and you took off a little waggle route left, and boom, the second play of the game was for a touchdown. Tell us a little bit about that play.
I just saw on that one.
Don't tell too much, Jay.
Yeah. We just.
We're going to run that against Upper Perk
well,
again.
It's okay.
I'm just teasing.
You execute. It doesn't matter if you say, we're going to run this play.
Just reading what the defense is giving us, seeing where they're flowing to, and trying to make the best of what they're showing us.
Yeah, it certainly did. They all sort of jumped towards number 2, and boom, next thing you know, as you were gone, and good speed running down there. I'm sure that's a lot of fun for you too.
Yeah, it's
when
definitely.
You're out there, all you see is green grass in front of you. That was a big play, Rick. It was the second play of the game and got you guys going offensively, even though you struggled a little bit in the first half.
Oh yeah, we struggled mightily in the first half, and I think Jay got us off on that midline. He ran what's called the midline. He ran that and took off down the sideline, and it was a great read by him. And I was worried that the referee was going to call an inadvertent whistle. But the first half we played, I think Sewell was trying to make the big play. He was trying to get the home run every play.
Yeah.
He was stopping it and trying to start.
Yeah.
And you can't, against an aggressive defense like Interboro, you can't stop and then restart because they're going to come after you. Now, second half, we told him, hey, take the 5 yards, 7 yards, and just go with it. And he did that, and he got the big plays and ended up with over 200 yards rushing. But, it's hard to tell Rasul how to run a football.
Yeah.
He's
pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. Anyone
has
seen him run. But, he got a little as we go up into playoffs, the competition's going to be a little bit tougher, and they're going to come in with a different game plan. Our job right now as coaches is to be able to, complement that game plan so that when people key on Rasul, we have other things in the packages. So that's what we're doing right now.
Well, Jay, it seemed to me also, again, I haven't seen all your games, but I've seen quite a few of them, that obviously when you play Interboro, it's a tough physical game. There's a lot of back and forth things. There's some play to the whistle and then some, which goes part of that football game. And it seemed to me that Faison was more emotional than he normally is, because he's a pretty laid-back guy. He's a cool dude. He got the swagger, but he was as fired up as I've ever seen him.
Yeah, he was definitely fired up. Stuff happening after the whistle, stuff like that. And when Sewell runs angry, you don't want to be in his way. I mean, he gets after when he's running angry.
So I said, he appears to be slight, and if you see him, he doesn't look like a big power fullback, but he lowered his shoulder and ran over a couple guys in that second half, trying to let them know who he was all about.
I don't know if Rasul was also mad. I think it's at the motivation we gave him. We were trying to get him to go, but boy, I'll tell you, when you get him mad, and when he ran that number 4 over on that one play, that was. I mean, we were standing right there, and that boy came up to hit him, and Rasul just.
You could hear the shoulder pads and the helmet crack in there. That was certainly a big thing.
But there's something else I want to tell about Jay. Jay's also a 4.0 student here, and that Ryan Finn's a 4.0 student, and I think that's when you got a quarterback that's a smart kid and that can comprehend things like that. I think that's important.
Absolutely. Just look down at Philly, what's going on now with Carson Wentz. And there's a guy in his second year doing things that guys 10 years in the league can't do. But
Right.
he's a bright guy. He studies. I know you guys are all about film and things now too.
Mhm.
So much different from when Coach Pennypacker and I played back in those days. Tell us a little bit about your film study and what kind of things you do that way.
The way to access film is very easy now. Every day after school or something like that, just go home, watch film for an hour. We get 8 games or so, and I just try and go through each game every night and try and get to know that team as best as I can as if I'm playing on that team.
Well, you know, one thing that you have to certainly recognize as well as the quarterback, and I did as well, is your offensive line. It all starts up front there, and you got some pretty good players up front that like to stay in there and get dirty. I know Coach Pennypacker coaches them, and he takes a lot of pride in them, but your offensive line is pretty solid.
Definitely. I wouldn't want any other line up there with Paris, Ephraim, Nate, Justin, Darian. They're the best guys that we can have out there. And they definitely open up everything for all the backs and everyone. They're definitely a great line to have.
Ryan Bedolis has come
Wow,
on strong,
Ryan Bedolis.
playing both sides of the ball for you as well. You know, there's a guy that by the end of middle of his sophomore season, towards the end, and this year, he has really turned into a really solid football player.
He has, I think right now he has 15 and a half sacks for us this year. The other night, you know, we don't count pancakes, but I was watching film at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning as I was uploading it, and I kept thinking, my God, look at Ryan. And I think he had 5 pancakes in that game. I asked him how many he has. I don't know, Coach, but he has become he's a pretty interesting kid. That boy has a motor that never stops.
And again,
never
you know,
stops.
his father was a heck of a football player and a good coach.
Yes.
His brother played at Boone and then Buck now. So there's some good bloodlines there. Ryan Bedola, certainly another guy that is a player. But, you know, you did a nice job on the ground and in the air on Friday night. Do you go into a game thinking, hey, we need some pretty good balance, Jay?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think sometimes some teams really key on our run, so sometimes we're going to have to go in the air to get a little momentum going, to open up other things for Rasul to get some running in. So just a way to balance everything and open everything up for everyone else.
All right. Well, we got a few minutes here to go. Let's talk Upper Perk. All right. We'll start with you first, Jay, because we want to get it straight instead of coach talk over here. But obviously you did have some success against them earlier. You've played them. You know a little bit about them. They know a little bit about you. How do you get yourself ready to quarterback in the district championship game on Friday night?
We go back to last year. Last year was a big game throughout districts because we played them in the first round last year.
Right.
And that game was a lot closer when we played them earlier in the season.
Right.
So it's going to be another similar situation as last year. They have a very good team. They have a great coach over there, and we're definitely going to have a great team to play on Friday.
Well, yeah. Again, you know, we talked about earlier. They have a lot of seniors over there too.
Right.
You know, Tyler Wary and Austin Tulio, and their quarterback has come on. Kaiser Kendra is a good, solid two-way player. They're a physical gang, Rick. And I know you just said you're up watching film at 2, 3 in the morning. I'm sure this will be another nice week for you.
Oh yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of stress this week. Yeah, Upper Perk's a good football team. Let's not take anything away from them. You know, they have good athletes. They have some, you know, Wary's as good football players as the league on both sides of the ball. They have some dominant and offensive linemen up there, you know, and Tulu and their Kendra and those guys. They're a formidable foe for us. We know what we have to do. My job right now as a coach is to get our kids prepared and, you know, work on the things that I can control. You know, we can't control too many things other than the things we can control. The weather we can't control. It's supposed to be cold. You know, but we can control effort, preparation, and our work ethic this week. And if we do that, I think we'll be okay.
All right. How about sideline warnings? Can you control that a little bit too, there, Rick?
Yeah.
I noticed you got another sideline warning on.
That wasn't on
Friday.
me, though.
Was it?
No, that wasn't on me.
Okay.
That was on my assistant. I was pretty upset with him, too. If I'm going to get one, it's going to be on me. You know,
well, we had a
that's
lot
just
of
the way
fun.
it is.
Scott Furman and I had a lot of fun watching
sure
out
you
there.
do.
You were very animated
I was very
on
upset.
Friday night.
See, Friday night I was animated because I was so worried about our kids getting kicked out of that game. I mean, there were some things going on that my kids were coming off the field telling me about, and you know, I don't know how you can control yourself as a kid when those things are happening out there. I'm trying to keep them under control. You know, I don't want someone getting up, throwing a punch, get thrown out of the game. Now they're sitting for the Upper Perk game.
Right.
You know, and so that was my biggest fear. You know, and as the game going on, you know, as we started getting, you know, rolling a little bit and getting ahead, things started, you know,
Well, yeah, it got a little out of control. It could be out of control, and you know, certainly we've all been in those kind of games,
right.
and cooler heads have to prevail. And I thought it was a good move by getting Faison out of there. Avery Grant, certainly no slouch as a backup anyway. Right. I mean, he's got some pretty good speed. And unfortunately, he had a long touchdown called back, and but it certainly was one of those kind of games. All right, well, listen, guys, I wish you the best of luck on Friday night. PCTV will be there. I will not be calling the game, unfortunately, but we'll have some people there taking care of that. And, Jay, I want to thank my complete graphics guys, the Ritwich boys down on High Street. I'll tell you what, man, you got to get anything you need printed. They'll do it. They'll get it done quickly and very inexpensively. They'll work with you. As their motto is, we'll print anything but money. That's for you, Player of the Week. And then, of course, my good buddy, Charlie Pierce in the Trophy and Plaque Shack. We call this our little mini Heisman that you get for being honored as our Player of the Week, Jay, and something that you can remember us here on the show. And, and again, certainly well deserved and a good game on Friday night. Lead that team, Rick. Look forward to talking to you some more as the season goes on. But good luck on Friday night. It should be a good one over at Pennypacker Field at Pottsgrove, 7 o'clock. Get out there and support these kids. All right, we're going to take a quick time out. When I come back, my buddy Joe C. will be in the house as a dynamic duo will break down the Philadelphia Eagles and their big win over the Denver Broncos on yesterday. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more Monday Morning Quarterback right after this.
So you're officially married. Congrats! It's time to combine things. Your last names, your toothbrush holders, and your health insurance. When you combine policies, you can save and live happily ever after financially. Use the red key for more money-saving tips. Find yourself impulse buying uncontrollably? Here's a tip from Ben Franklin. Carry me in your wallet. Big bills are harder to give up. The next time you're tempted to impulse buy, you might not want to break a Benjamin. Use the red key and save.
Doc Watson's is one of the hottest new sports bars around. Located next to Zern's Market in Boyertown, Doc's offers something for everyone. From live entertainment to countless draft beers, from great burgers to the new outside patio, from the numerous TVs to the friendly Doc service. Doc Watson's is the place to be. So stop by Doc's today for a leisurely lunch, a quick cold beer, or a great bite to eat on a nice fall night. Doc Watson's.
Established in 1916 and granted membership into the Philadelphia Golf Association in 1920, Brookside Country Club is well known for its challenging layout and true, fast greens. The William Gordon design provides a challenge for golfers of all abilities. Brookside Country Club offers traditional club amenities in a family-friendly atmosphere. Brookside Country Club, where elegance and excellence are par for the course.
At Vlahos Insurance, we understand what moves people in business and in life, and we use this knowledge to better serve our clients. And we bring the same work ethic and commitment to our business as our customers do theirs. Vlahos Insurance, providing quality coverage to the Tri-County area since 1994. So call our knowledgeable staff.
Hi, I'm Jim Vlahos of Vlahos Insurance, and we're in your community.
Hey, we're back here on the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show. Dave Ridenauer and Joe C. in the house, the dynamic duo. Make sure you get over there to Fred Beans. Tell Denny Malloy we sent you. Great time to buy a car right there. There's the new and improved facilities. It's beautiful over there. They got all kinds of things, service lines for you when you take care of your cars after purchasing and so on. Denny Malloy and his gang are great people over there at Fred Beans in Boyertown, over there on Route 100. Joseph, it always makes my day when I see you, partner.
Same here, Dave.
I know my buddies over there in Boyertown are watching. They're glad when you're on the air, so we can go back and forth and have some fun. I do want to say one thing before we get started doing anything. You were 5-0 last week, Joe, and I always congratulate a winner. I was 3-2, and you were 5-0. We're not getting to that point in the show yet, but I do want to say good job.
Wow.
5-0.
Hold on. All right, hold on. The counter's moving.
It might be. We might get electricity, thunder and lightning and stuff. I know I'm giving you a compliment, which I don't normally do.
But you know what? Much appreciated. I got to tell you something about yesterday. Now, you know, between working and being off and cutting the lawn and doing things like that, yesterday was the first day in a long time.
You sat and watched the whole game.
That I actually watched the game. And when there was a timeout or it was halftime, I would switch to the red zone or to another game. Mm-hmm. But I was drawn to the game. And I had to watch the whole game. And it was one of those.
It is, and that's
what's
the way
going
this
on.
team is.
It's like a fever.
That's the way this team is as well. I know I'm a channel surfer too. I can't stand all the commercials, and I bunch back and forth. I actually was going to the Washington-Seattle game, which wasn't real exciting, but I was kind of curious to see how Kirk Cousins would do against their defense. And
right.
It was certainly a low-scoring and a solid game. It was cold out there. There were snowflakes during the game and all kinds of stuff in Seattle. But, yeah, the Eagles have captivated us, and it all starts with number 11, who is their Superman. You know, it's just amazing how much different everyone's attitude, even my son who has season tickets, he's so much happier than like last year and lose some games, you know. People really, it's amazing how that football team takes control of that Philadelphia area.
The whole community
yeah.
is just on top of the world
yeah.
right now. Even in the store, in the supermarket, you know, people wearing Wentz jerseys. Ertz was out yesterday, which was. And look at Selleck. Selleck played like he was like 26.
My son was all up beside him and said, "Oh my God, Dad, they're going to miss Ertz." I said, "They're not going to miss Ertz. I'm telling you right now, between Selleck and Burton, they'll be fine." And those two guys, they never missed a beat.
And they're saying that Burton is like the best athlete.
He got the best hands out of all of them.
And he does a lot of different things.
He does a lot of stuff. And they better find a way to keep him in that fold for a while.
Vitae played pretty well
yesterday. He did. You know, it was funny. I looked in the stats, and Vaughn Miller had 8 tackles. But I tell you what,
I didn't even know he was there.
Yeah, they were very nondescript tackles. He was not disruptive. He was not all over the place. You didn't go after that game, say, "Oh my God, who's that number 58?" You didn't say that.
You didn't
after
even
that
know.
game.
I didn't even feel like he was even at the game.
Yeah.
You know, you saw him there. You saw him running around a little bit, but I'll tell you that it's just contagious. It's just spreading like wildfire, and not only through the community, but that team is. And even after the game, I don't know if you saw the tweet of Peterson in the locker room talking to guys.
I didn't see it, but I
heard.
it.
You heard
that.
I
heard that. He gave an emotional.
Yeah, like, you know, come on, you know,
or
we're not there yet.
Right.
We're, you know, 9 games. We're gonna come back and focus. And they like screamed, "I'll see you in a week," and everybody went nuts. Everybody went nuts.
Well, you know what? And it's really funny because, of course, you know that Mike Lombardi thing, and all these different people who thought that, you know, this guy was not cut out to be a head coach, and, you know, he was just sort of a gopher guy for Andy Reid, and blah 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 blah. But I tell you what, you know, it's hard to do something really great the first time you try it. So that first year, it was a learning year. He had to learn some things. You know, I didn't agree with a lot of his 4th down calls and going for this and that, going for 2 rather than kicking. But I tell you what, man, what a 180 he's made, and he has been on top of things this year.
It was the first week, second week, you know, 4th and 8. Wentz is the leading rusher. You know, we're sitting here going, "What's this guy doing?"
Right.
We're here we we go again.
Yeah.
You know, Andy Reid, you know, and then all of a sudden, but I got to tell you, I don't know if it's necessarily him, which it is.
Ultimately,
it is.
Yeah.
It's him, it's Reich, it's
and
Schwartz, and then all the surrounding coaches, but it's also the players, too.
Yeah. Well, they bought into
These guys. These guys are together.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know, we used to see them having fun after a touchdown. You never saw that before. You never saw that before. Back in 2004, when T.O. was here, I don't know if you remember, T.O. told Reid that if he scored 15 TDs, he was going to. A bet was that Andy Reid was going to wear those compression shorts.
Oh yeah.
You right? Yeah. You remember?
Yeah, I do.
That's fun. That's what, you know. And they had a heck of a team then.
Well,
too.
I know, and I listen, you know, on the Philadelphia radio talk shows and stuff, and you know they have a bowling thing, and not just one or two guys show up because they're contractually asked to go or they're getting paid big bucks, but there's 20 guys there. There's 20 guys there bowling and smiling, taking selfies and having fun, and that's where all this team thing, and I'm going to tell you right now, it all starts with number 11. He has gotten that team to buy in. They see how he works. He's a student of the game. We were talking to Jay Sisko here from Pottsgrove, and Rick talked about, you know, he's a bright kid. The people really like him. He studies. He works real hard. Excuse me. But this is what Carson Wentz does. He's the first guy there, the last guy to leave. He has things broken down. He's actually even taken some things into the coach and say, listen, we ran this in North Dakota State, and this really works. And Corey Clement catches a touchdown pass on it, stuff like that. I mean, that's impressive for a kid who's only got, 20 starts under his belt?
Right. And you look at Corey Clement, what was he, like a fourth round? Not even,
No,
he was a free agent. He was undrafted.
Yeah.
Undrafted. And he was the first, I was going to save this till later, but he's the first rookie running back for the Eagles since 1953 to run and receive, rookie now, run and receive a touchdown in the same game. 1953. I think the guy's name was Don Johnson. I don't even know.
Don Johnson, Miami Vice.
Yeah, Miami Vice.
Right.
Exactly.
He later made his bones in Miami Vice.
But how about that right there? And then you had Ajayi, then you got Blunt. And then you have Smallwood, and don't forget Barner. I mean, Barner's
and he's been steady in the return game. I mean, I don't know if they ask him to do too much, but catch the ball and not fumble it. You know, if you get some positive yardage, okay, don't fumble the ball. You know, do your thing in the return game. It's going to be interesting to see as they go on if Ajayi, I guess is how you say his name. For whatever reason, it's Jay Ajayi, I think is how you pronounce it. But anyway, the more he gets comfortable with the offense, the more he's going to be involved in it. I think Smallwood is the guy who's really going to feel the repercussions of this because A, he gets hurt all the time, and B, you know, they're going to go with Blunt. They like Blunt a lot. And I'll be honest with you, this Clement is really earning playing time. He really has.
You know, he at Wisconsin, he was a
a
solid back.
Yeah.
You know, he rushed for over 4,000 yards when he was at Wisconsin. But he's the type of guy that I was listening to Brandon Graham on the way up tonight, and he said Graham's like, he's the type of kid that he's just wants to absorb everything, doesn't complain about anything. Why not me?
Yeah.
Why can't that be me?
Right.
And just keeps working and working and working, and his attitude is just off the chart.
Well, and he has that proverbial chip on his shoulder as being an undrafted player when he thought he was as good as a lot of other guys that got drafted in those mid-rounds particularly. All right, Joe, let's take a quick timeout. We'll catch our breath here on the show. When we come back, we got a couple of our segments that we normally do each week on the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show. He's Joe C. I'm Dave Radnauer. Together, we are the dynamic duo. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more Monday Morning Quarterback right after this.
At Vlahos Dunn Insurance, we understand what moves people in business and in life, and we use this knowledge to better serve our clients. And we bring the same work ethic and commitment to our business as our customers do theirs. Vlahos Dunn Insurance, providing quality coverage to the Tri-County area since 1994. So call our knowledgeable staff.
Hi, I'm Jim Vlahos of Vlahos Dunn Insurance, and we're in your community.
So you're officially married. Congrats! It's time to combine things. Your last names, your toothbrush holders, and your health insurance. When you combine policies, you can save and live happily ever after financially. Use the red key for more money-saving tips. Find yourself impulse buying uncontrollably? Here's a tip from Ben Franklin. Carry me in your wallet. Big bills are harder to give up. The next time you're tempted to impulse buy, you might not want to break a Benjamin. Use the red key and save.
Back in 1949, Claude A. Reinhardt founded his family business, which has served the Pottstown and Tri-County area for over 50 years, specializing in residential and commercial interior and exterior painting, paper hanging, and brick restoration. Thanks to the commitment of tradition and values, Claude A. Reinhardt Painters has once again received this year's Reader's Choice Award. So if you're thinking about having an estimate or just need some good advice, give Ron or Keith Reinhardt a call and put your painting and decorating needs in our hands.
The newly remodeled and renovated Creekside Sports Bar and Grill sits on the Landis Creek Golf Course. Featuring live entertainment and weekly specials, the Creekside offers something for everyone. Discounted beer and wing prices during all Eagles games brings a being at the game feeling. With tailgating, big screen TVs, and wearing your team colors, you can bring the fall spirit to Creekside. So stop by the Creekside Sports Bar and Grill and see all the fun things it has to offer.
Back here on the Vallejo Stun Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show, Dave Ryden, Joe C., the dynamic duo. Joe, each week we do a little segment here called By the Numbers. By the Numbers is brought to you by my buddy John Griesmer, Jack Griesmer as I know him. He is my accountant and financial guy. He is awesome. He's located right beside Seville's Diner in Boyertown. If you're looking for somebody to give you some, do your taxes, give you some financial advice, he is certainly a guy to talk to. All right, Joe, what do you got? You normally like to carry me in this By the Numbers segment.
I got Adrian Peterson.
How about him?
Age 32, rushing 37 times. That's the most
ever, right?
Most ever
in his career.
It's a career high for him, but also the most ever by any running back over 30 years of age.
That's amazing.
Which I find hard to believe.
And I'm happy that he found a new team and sort of a breath of fresh air out there to Arizona. Arizona is at 4-4, and they were hurting for running backs. David Johnson had been a guy that everyone thought was going to be an all-pro type player, but he got hurt early, and Adrian Peterson wasn't doing much down in New Orleans. So it was sort of an amicable breakup in New Orleans.
It's a perfect fit
really
for him.
Need him.
It's a perfect fit for him in Arizona, and Drew Stanton played real well yesterday too. He looked sharp.
Well, you know what? You and I have said it, Joe. There's a couple of things. First of all, you got to give a quarterback time. Most professional quarterbacks, when given enough time, can complete passes. The ones that separate the ones that are up and down, yo, up and down, and the ones like Brady and Rodgers are the ones who do it more consistently. And right now, those two guys are as consistent as anybody. Roethlisberger's been consistent over the years. He had a couple stinkers this year. But Carson Wentz is trying to elevate himself into that consistent role. That's when you become the all-pro.
And you said it earlier in the segment, how he puts the time in. He's the first one in there. He's the last one to leave. Now, I don't know how you feel about Tony Romo, but when you listen to a Tony Romo cast, telecast, thank you. He's like, we're double deep. He's calling out everything, the formation, and he draws a little circle. He's like, all right, the ball should go here in the middle of the field, and boom, there's where it goes.
He does.
Now that is preparation.
Correct.
That's what yesterday that a couple of the guys on Denver's team said. It's like they knew what plays we were running. Mm-hmm. So that's film study. Mm-hmm. That's preparation. And that's what we were talking about off the air, about coaching and things like that. It all comes in. And when you have someone like Wentz and you have the other players that are able to follow him And you put all that together, you have nothing but success.
And then on the defensive side of the ball, then, which the Eagles really have been playing well at, I mean, they go by formation, they go by tendency, they go by all those things, and you know they're not going to exactly tell you which play it is, but they got a pretty good idea that they line up in these formations. They're going to run a couple of these plays, and give Malcolm Jacobs credit. And I'm not the biggest fan of his, but he's a good football player, and he's like the new Dawk, if you will.
Yep.
He's the guy
Yep.
that they all rally around. Now Fletcher is playing better because of Jernigan's and Graham.
And Curry.
Curry is all of a sudden, he found a defense that he can flourish in. You know, they're still lacking a little bit in the linebacker core. I think Bradham and Kendricks are solid.
Kendricks looked good
You know,
yesterday.
Hicks is a guy that, you know, shows flashes, but he's hurt quite a bit.
He gets hurt a lot,
But
yeah.
their defensive secondary, which is supposed to be their Achilles heel, man, they have been outstanding.
And Darby's coming back. You're looking
Darby's
at
coming back
Mills,
into it, yeah.
Douglas, you know, them McLeod, and Darby's coming back. And then you look at the other kid, Sidney Jones?
Yeah.
The one that they
Tore his Achilles
tore his
tendon.
Achilles, and they
He's
got
ahead
him.
of schedule.
They got him cheap.
Yeah.
And you know what? You throw that in the mix. But I got to be honest with you. Yesterday when Jernigan went down, I was like, all right, next man
Yeah,
up.
right, next man
Here
up.
comes Bo Allen.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm okay with that.
And who's 97? 97 had a couple of nice plays, too. I couldn't even read his number on the back of his jersey. He was a D tackle for him, I think it was 97. He made a couple of big plays.
I didn't see it.
Some of those defensive linemen, they alternate in there, and you don't even know who they
Yeah,
are.
you got Barnett.
Yeah,
You got,
well,
and then
yeah.
Vinny Curry.
Yeah.
He was walking it off, but they're not missing a beat,
Yep.
which is good.
I agree. All right, we also have a segment where we give our game ball away, and that's my good friend Paul Strauss. There he is up there at 943 North Hanover Street in Pottstown. My guy's been with me forever and ever and ever, and gives me good haircuts every time I go in to see him. Joe, go ahead. I'll let you go first.
You know what? I want to change. We talked off the air. I want to change giving
Okay.
my game ball, too. Did you see the Dallas-Kansas City game?
I did.
Right before the half?
I did.
With Tyreek Hill?
I love that guy. I love that
I'm
guy.
actually going to give my game ball to him.
Okay.
I mean, it just a little dump pass, over the middle, and he runs 56 yards. But the way he was stopping and hopping, it was just dumb. It was dumb. I couldn't believe that Dallas couldn't tackle him.
Well,
and
and
know
not
what-
even tackle him, put a hand on him.
Exactly.
You know, when I was a kid, we used to go up to Franklin Elementary School. We'd run home because they didn't give us lunch. We had to run home for lunch, then we'd run back. And if we got there quicker, excuse me, we could play over the hill. So the game was okay. Where one guy was it, and then you'd get from sideline to sideline, and then you tag two, then you got three, then you have, and that's what that reminded me of. And we had some guys that were so good at stopping and starting and dodging and doing all this stuff. That's what it reminded me.
That's exactly what it
was. Like
was.
a game of over the hill, like Rover, Rover, come over kind of a thing. And no one even
True.
touched them. And they had like, what, 6 guys all across
down
there.
at the 5-yard line. I couldn't believe
I mean, he
it.
did pick up a nice block or two. Kelsey was down there and another wide receiver. But he just was, it was awesome to watch him do
I
that.
think
That guy is amazing.
He is
to me.
amazing. And one of the guys on the team, I forget who it was, says his nickname is Cheetah. Cheetah. He's definitely Cheetah.
Did you see Andy Reid get popped on the sideline?
No, I did
oh
not.
Oh, my gosh.
No, I did
Yeah, he
not.
wasn't paying attention. He was walking down with his head like this, and he got waffled by one of his own guys off of a missed tackle. Yeah, he went down
I
hard.
did not see that.
Yeah, he went down pretty hard.
Concussion syndrome.
All right, and I'm going to give my game ball to Doug Peterson.
There you
I'm
go.
jumping on his bandwagon. Excuse me. I got to take a little drink here. Getting hot. I'm sorry, but Doug Peterson is my game ball. 8-1, a big turnaround, a 180. He's really 37 rushes for 197 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, that would be 6 games worth of running for Andy Reid back in the day or so.
Chip Kelly.
Yeah, Chip Kelly. I'm like, man, all he wanted to do was chuck. And Carson Wentz had a good name, but he threw it 27 times. I think that's 30 or under. He keeps connects on a high percentage of them. He had 4 touchdowns. What has he got, 20-something now?
23, and that's the third game. His third game in the last 5 games. He's thrown for 4 TDs.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That's amazing.
It's crazy.
All right.
It is amazing.
Well, listen, we used to give out grades and things like that, and I thought that might be fun to give out some grades.
Sure.
Who do you think gets the highest grade? And we'll go position. We're not going to go player as much as position. Obviously the quarterback position, we're going to take that out of the mix because Carson's up there today, A+.
Sure.
But what position on the offensive side of the ball deserves the highest grade in your mind beside quarterback?
Wow. There you go. That's a good question. I'm going to go wide receiver.
Okay.
I'm going to go wide receiver because I want to say with the addition of Alshon Jeffries, Torrey Smith isn't doing anything, but even if he's on the other side of the ball, he might be like a decoy run down the field. But Nelson Aguilar. Let's give it to him. And we weren't big fans of him last year.
No, I wanted him going. I wanted him
It's
going.
like he's a new player. He changed his number. He gave Jeffrey 17. He took 13. He's like a new player.
He is.
And then you throw Mac Hollins into the mix. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, these guys, but I look at Ertz not as a tight end. I look at Ertz as like a wide receiver.
He is sort of an
extended.
extended.
What I mean? And then you have Selleck, and then you have Trey Burton. And I go back to the days of Ron Jaworski and Keith Krefley. Do you remember?
Oh, absolutely,
and
I
then,
do.
And then with Donovan, was it Chad Lewis?
Yeah.
Remember? And they'd be big just to dump off stuff down the middle and stuff.
You look at Witten and all those guys who've been around for a long time. They have been security blankets for quarterbacks for a long time.
You look at all the good teams, there's a solid tight end.
No doubt about it.
Ertz is one of them. So
and
I
I like that. I like that grouping too. But you know what? I'm going to go to the big guys up front. I really am. I mean, Kelsey had a down year last year. We haven't heard too much negative about Kelsey this year. True. I mean, the big guy at right guard, Brooks, is unbelievable. Lane Johnson may be the best right tackle in the NFL. Before Peters got hurt, he certainly added to that line. But Wisniewski, his insertion has really stabilized that offensive line.
You said
I'm going to get that. And I liked him last year.
You said that last year.
I did. I said he deserved to be in there.
Last year, yes.
And like I said, I got to give that. And you mentioned Vaitai really neutralized Vaughn Miller yesterday. And again, all we ever heard about was Vaughn Miller, and we'd love to have him on our team, that's for sure. But yesterday he was nowhere to be found. I'm going to give them my highest grade on offense. And what about the defensive side, quickly, Joe?
Defense, I got to go D-line. I got D-line with what they're doing as far as interchanging all the players that they have between getting Barnett in there, Vince Curry's playing out of his mind, Jernigan's Florida State guy. And they're just playing real well.
Well, I was sort of a Benny Logan guy. I liked him in there.
Yeah,
I thought he
he's
made.
in KC.
I know. I thought he made Fletcher Cox a lot better. But this Jernigan's is, I think, even an upgrade from Benny Logan, who's having another solid season in Kansas City. And I'm going to go to secondary. I mean, that was the biggest worry for everybody. Oh my God, they're going to have to get a great pass rush because the secondary is not very good. They won't be able to cover for long. But I'll tell you what else they do better than almost anybody I've seen in a long time. They tackle. They tackle. They're not afraid to come up there and tackle, not only the receivers, but running backs that happen to break through the line and make some yardage that way. So I'm going to go with the secondary. All right, Joe, well, listen, we got one more break to do. When we come back, I'm going to give you the Big Frank question. We're going to go over our 5-pack picks, and then we're going to say adios for another evening here on the show. We're going to take a quick time out. We'll be right back after this.
Key Bank, the official bank of the Monday Morning Quarterback. Get to know Key, your local, responsible, award-winning bank. Brookside Country Club, where elegance and excellence are par for the course.
We're back here on the Vlahouse Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show. And sorry, I have little sneezes, a little sniffle here all of a sudden here. I needed a little water during that last segment. But, Joe, let me throw you the Big Frank question. All right. So you have a minute or two to think about this. And, again, I want to thank all the people of that Batara family, particularly Bigsy Batara. It's his birthday today. He turns 60 years old, the Big 6-0.
Happy
He
birthday.
is the proprietor of the Clean Cut Lawn Care. I want to thank him for helping us keep Big Frank's memory alive here with us on the show, as he has always been a big part of the Monday Morning Quarterback. Here we go.
All right.
They're talking about Carson Wentz being a possible MVP candidate. Okay? And if he wins the MVP award this year, he'll be the 5th guy to win it in either his first or second year as a pro. Who are the other 4 people that have won the MVP in their first or second years as an NFL player?
Dan Marino.
Okay, is 1.
Oh, okay. All right, so I got 1. So I got what, 3 more to go?
Yeah. There's 4 of them. You want to think about it for a minute, or you want
Are
to?
they all quarterbacks?
No.
No. I'm going to go Earl Campbell.
Earl Campbell. Now you know the answer now because you're saying this.
No,
you heard it somewhere.
No.
Don't be giving me your poker face like you didn't know the answer.
No, honestly.
Okay, that's true.
Honestly, all right.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to go Eric Dickerson. All right. Oh, you know who else? Probably George Rogers.
No,
No?
it wasn't him.
All right. So we're going to go back to quarterbacks. All right. So let's go back to quarterbacks, and let's go in second year. Wasn't Favre. Brett Favre.
Nope.
No? All right.
I'll give you that. They did win a Super Bowl. This guy did win a Super Bowl. He's a Hall of Famer.
That would be Joe Montana.
No, it would be the greatest show on turf.
Oh, really?
Kurt Warner.
Wow.
Won the MVP in his second year.
Okay, yeah.
And then
okay.
And the last one's a guy I thought you would get right off the bat. He won it in his first and second year.
Brady.
No. The greatest football player ever, Jim Brown.
Oh, okay.
Jim Brown
okay.
won it. So if Carson Wentz wins, he'll be the 5th guy to win it in the first or second year.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about
Jim
that?
Brown.
I knew Marino did it.
Yeah.
And then
and Earl Campbell was a good one too,
yeah,
buddy.
yeah,
that was
yeah,
good. I
yeah.
thought you might know the answer then. All right, let's get into our 5-pack picks real quick as we're winding her down here. We want to thank Izzy's on third. Again, Paul Bauer and all the guys, Kurt and Michelle and Jimmy DeCinio, all the great people over there, my buddy Steve at Doc's. The guys have been amazing and great supporters of the Vlahouse Dunn Insurance, Monday Morning Quarterback Show. All right, you were 5-0 last week. I was 3-2, so we got our work cut out for us this week. Quickly, Detroit at Green Bay tonight.
I'm taking Detroit.
I'm going to take the home team tonight, just because. Seattle at Arizona.
Seattle coming off of that tough loss. I'm going to take Seattle.
I think Seattle is going to win that game, although I wouldn't mind seeing Arizona win that one. Here's an interesting game all of a sudden. New Orleans at Buffalo.
I think, okay. New
Orleans at Buffalo.
I want to take Buffalo coming off of
all right, I'll see if Drew Brees can do anything else.
Give a couple extra days.
Minnesota at Washington.
I think Washington's defense is a little bit underrated, and they have D'Angelo Hall back. I'm taking Washington.
And then, of course, the last game is Dallas at Atlanta.
Man, I'm going to take Atlanta.
I got to go against everything I think is right and take Dallas.
Huh. All right.
I got to go against you on a couple. We never get a chance to go again. But like I said, Dallas, I don't know. We'll see what happens this week. Who knows with the crazy saga that goes on behind their running back. But I tell you, the full moon is in full effect.
We were talking
this
about
weekend
that off the
with
air.
all the fights and all the craziness. Craziness. I'm telling you, as a school teacher for over 25 years, that full moon thing, there's something to it. There is no doubt in my mind. And all that carrying on yesterday on that field, nuts.
It was crazy. I mean, you look at
guys out of character.
AJ
Green, out of character.
Out of character, but the guy was cheap shotting him Ramsey was cheap
Jalen
shotting the
Ramsey.
whole game. So he reacted. He was upset because he was afraid he might get hurt. And then you look at Evans just coming out.
Wasn't even
nowhere.
involved in anything. Across the field he ran and drilled him in the middle of the back.
I was stunned at that. I was stunned
too.
at that. And Winston, I think Winston should have got a suspension or a fine because he was definitely agitated.
All right, Joseph. Well, that's going to do it for another week. It's a great time. It's always fun chatting with you here, going back and forth on the Eagles, on the NFL, and everything else that comes up in between on set here. But again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Again, congratulations, Rick Pennypacker, and our Player of the Week, Jay Sisko. And again, it was another great year with Coach Mick. Tonight was the last show that he and I will be working for the rest of the year here. So I want to, again, thank everybody again. We got Amy behind the glass. We got Matt back there, Gus, and everybody else in the wings. He's Joe C. I'm Dave Ridenour. Thanks for watching the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show.